¿Qué mi bebés? Welcome to the Cabana Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Cabanas, and today we're talking about Bad Bunnies. Yo hago lo que me da la gana. Words to live by, right?
Yeah.
Joined by my guest, Alejandro Hernandez, who is the show host for The Fifth Element at DePaul University Radio.
Yeah.
What's good, Ali?
Not much, man. I'm chilling. Just trying to stay healthy in this time of crisis. Shout out to Corona. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me, man.
So, what do you do on your show, The Fifth Element? Just so people know.
So The Fifth Element hip hop show is just a show that I do at Radio DePaul. I've been doing this since my freshman year. It's a hip hop show, obviously, it's in the name. And we focus on that music, and we typically invite artists and other just local creatives who just do cool things in the city, and we just talk to them and just have cool conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Or like if we're not having interviews, then me and my co-host, we just talk about whatever's happening else in pop culture, just listen to music. So pretty chill.
That's cool. You guys ever talk about Latin trap?
Yeah, especially me. So the show has been going on since before I was a student at DePaul. It kind of got passed down to me, and it's kind of funny because the show originally started off as a norteño show.
Really?
Yeah. So it was originally hosted by my friend Don, who's this cool ass Mexican dude, and then so he started that with his friend. And there's they specifically did norteños, but then they kind of rebranded to do hip hop just because that's just what they're more passionate about.
Yeah.
But then once I got on board, it was also around the same time that Bad Bunny and Ozuna and Gana were first starting to get popular. So I started to play their music on the show and I talk about it and stuff like that. So and that's important to me because hip hop isn't just an American thing. It's really a global thing. But that's something we can talk about later. So the show is actually it airs through the internet. So if anyone wants to tune in, we typically air our show on Saturdays from 1 to 3 p.m. On radio.depaul.edu. Excuse me. Or you can download the Radio DePaul app. Or we're also on iHeartRadio too. So if you have that app too. So a couple of different options.
Check them out.
Yes.
Alright, Ali. So, Bad Bunny's new album, what were your first impressions when you first heard it?
First impressions. So, I guess if we're being literal with first impressions, I'm going off the first impression of the very first song. I did not like it. I did not like the first song on the album. I'm not going to lie.
Really?
Yeah. I just thought it was really I don't know, it really wasn't it for me. So I was like, damn, man, this thing got 19 more songs. But then once it got to La Santa with Daddy Yankee, the OG, then that's when it kind of just went just took off from there. That's when he had Bad Bunny had his foot on everyone's necks after that. But no, first impressions, I thought it was great. Especially as a sophomore album, he really it's common for artists to if they have such a great debut album, it kind of sets the bar almost too high for their sophomore one. So, but I thought he reached those expectations. Probably say he surpassed them in a lot of ways, considering the fact of how he broke so many records in terms of streaming and all that.
I feel that's what distinguishes a really good artist, that they can always come back with another good album.
Yeah, most definitely. He's kind of reached that point of fame where he's kind of just ubiquitous in terms of his demographic. He's kind of the Puerto Rican Drake in that sense. I thought it was really good, man. What about you?
Yeah. So, low-key, I kind of thought the same with the first track. Cause I first heard it, I was like, this ain't really for me, But obviously, I was at the gym, so I'm I'll just play the whole album. By the end of it, I was just from front to back, this is a really good album. I definitely listen to this again. And I like to listen to albums, but there's a lot of albums where I feel there's only a couple good songs and then I get kind of bored in between, But this one was front to back really good. And the more I listened to it, the more I loved it. And actually that first song really grew on me.
That's interesting you say that though, because even now though, to this day, anytime I listen to the album, I always start with La Santa.
Really?
I skip
You skipped the first three?
Yeah, low key, because I don't know, man. the first one I'll still say is like just not for me. The other two, the second and third one, they're like decent for sure, but I don't know, like La Santa is just it for me. Like that to me should have been the start of the album.
Alright, so Ale, what's your favorite track on the whole album?
My favorite track? Dang it, I'm blanking on the track with Anuel. What is it?
That's
Está cabrón serio.
Serio, yeah. Está cabrón serio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, because I'm a huge Anuel fan. Anyone who knows me like knows that like Anuel is probably my favorite like reggaeton artist right now. Even more than Bad Bunny, even more than Daddy Yankee, all those guys. He actually like inspired me to get like that haircut he has. Like I started getting those haircuts because the little Edgar cut.
Yeah. Zafaera is my favorite song on the album, just because it's like I love to dance. I like to dance to reggaeton, perreo intenso, as we say, me and my cousins. And yeah, it's just so crazy. Like it just mixes up so much different beats. And especially in that part, Bad Bunny made the video on this. ¿Qué es lo que tú quieres? Mami, aquí yo go tu tiburón. Like, and then the beat drops like right there. Like that shit goes so hard, man.
The production on that track is just one of the craziest things I've heard in a long time. You know, just all the transitions, the Missy Elliott Get Your Freak On sample at the end. It's just nuts. I think it's like the most popular song off the album, if I'm not correct. I mean, because it has that challenge. That was the Zafaera challenge, where like people just posting videos.
Yeah, that too. Upcoming Zafaera challenge from me.
Streets need it.
All right, so best moments of the album. So this is like, so obviously there's a lot of good tracks on this album, so it's hard to pick a favorite. So this is like our honorable mentions, I guess.
Yeah. So best moments. Best moments for me. Obviously would be, I guess, just being able to hear Daddy Yankee's voice. I'm a huge Daddy Yankee fan. Daddy Yankee to me is like the godfather of like reggaeton and everything like that. Second to the last song that has the little rock ending.
Hablamos Mañana?
Yes.
Yeah.
That shit was nuts. That was probably my favorite like individual moment of the album. It's not my favorite song. It's one of my favorite songs, but it's not my favorite song. But that last 30 seconds where it just goes into that hard rock like solo, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
I don't know, that shit was just nuts to me. Like, I don't know, I just wasn't expecting it. It just went hard. And like, yeah. And like, I'm not even like the biggest rock fan either. So like, but I was like in the gym while listening to it, and I was just like jamming out to like those 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, he does another, I guess you could say, rock song on his first album, Por Siempre. It's like, I forget the name of it, but it's like, it's basically like an electric guitar with like the electric drum beat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like the first time he did it, but yeah. It to me, it was also like a surprise when it came on.
Yeah.
I want to say one of the best moments is, even though you don't like the song, Si Veo a Tu Mamá, the first track. So I feel like, well, like I said before, it grew on me, but now when it like comes on, it's like that fun song, like at the beginning of the album, and you think about the music, like you've seen the music video. Well, there's pictures of Bad Bunny like dressed up as a dad, right? And that comes from the music video, and it's just kind of been kind of popular. And I kind of think of that as just like fun, you know?
Yeah.
I just feel like it's a fun way to start with the album. And I guess another one is Yo Perreo Sola.
I love that one. That's probably my second favorite. Second or third favorite after like stuff like that.
Yeah, and that one's just like a fun song too. And then a lot of people have been also making videos for that. And if you've seen like Bad Bunny's like Instagram, he's been posting videos that people make of them dancing to the song and be like, hey, you're welcome to the next show. Like someone let them know, you know? It's pretty crazy. Some of my other favorite songs was Está Cabrón Serio, and also the song before it, 25-8.
Oh my gosh, how did I forget about that one?
Those two back to back, like gets me so hyped.
25-8, I still say 25-8, like I said, my Spanish is that to me is probably the most underrated track in the album. Like that's the one that like I listen to it and I'm like so impressed by it every time I listen to it. But compared to like, you know, Zafaera, compared to like, you know, yo, all that stuff, like I don't see people talk about that song like they do the other ones. But like I feel like that song is up there with like arguably the best tracks on the album.
Well, something I realized, like if you go, well, I have Apple Music, But I realized that all like the tracks with the stars, like the hit songs, are the ones at the beginning, and not so much at the end. So I'm wondering if people are just like listening to the beginning and not really paying attention to the end.
Yeah, I think track listing is definitely super important for us. It's definitely like, to me, whenever I listen to the album, it's one of the things that I appreciate the most is track listing. If a song can if an album can just perfectly transition from song to song to song, just fluid, that to me just makes it that much better. It's like icing on the cake.
How well do you think this album flows in terms of in order?
Well, like I said, the first 3 songs just kind of weren't really it for me, for my personal taste. But kind of from La Santa on, it kind of just is full throttle. So I guess in that sense, it's really good. I really love just the intensity of the album too. That was probably my favorite. I guess a pleasant surprise because I was kind of expecting the album to be a little bit more, I guess, more poppy / soft, if you will, just because I feel like that was the direction that I've been seeing Bad Bunny take in a lot of his music for pretty much since Oasis dropped. I feel like that was kind of his direction for a lot of his songs, which is cool. But for my personal music taste, I like a little bit more hard, intensity type stuff.
Yeah.
So the fact that he was able to, and because Bad Bunny, his older music is a lot more intense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of like that he kind of went back to that.
I think that's one thing I also noticed is that even though he's become this such a popular person, a lot of times those people kind of go really poppy. I think he still remains an element of being popular to mainstream, but at the same time still keeping that raw element of the genre, you know?
Yeah. No facts. That's probably my favorite part about the album was the fact that he did a lot of callbacks to old school style of kind of reggaeton.
Yeah, especially in Zafaira.
Most definitely.
I guess one last mention that I have was the very last track, which is basically the Corazon track. It's basically an appreciation track. I don't know if you read up on the lyrics, but it's basically just reflecting on how he's blown up and dedicating it to Puerto Rico and his family and this and that. I think it's very touching.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so it's definitely nice for sure because obviously since the album was so a high intensity for the most part, it is kind of a nice, I like to call it a palate cleanser whenever I listen to projects like that are hard, and at the very end okay, let's calm it down for a bit because it kind of allows the listener, at least for me, to kind of just chill, reflect on the experience of listening to this project, and then also like you said, reflect on just the words that the artist is saying too. So, and like you said, being able to just talking about how he's kind of doing it for Puerto Rico, kind of reflecting on just his life. It's just it's a special moment for sure.
And then there's one line that I want to ask you about. In that last track, he mentions that he's gonna release another album in 9 months, and then he's retiring. What do you think about that?
Honestly, I'm for it. I mean, not for it, but if he does it, I support it.
Yeah.
Just cause I don't know, man. I'm very pro artists doing whatever they need to do and then leaving at the right time for them. I feel if an artist just feels that they've done whatever they need to do in terms of their career, and if they want to take that money that they made and just settle down and just live their best life, then I'm all for it. I'm not one of those people who's those people in Rihanna's comments are drop the album, sis, all that stuff. I'm a new Rihanna album would be awesome for sure, but I'm she's also doing her thing, making money, doing her fashion business on the side. Basically, I'm pro whatever makes the artist happy.
I've definitely seen mentions of him saying that this sudden rise in popularity out of nowhere, it's kind of affecting his mental health. He said. Yeah. I think is the main reason behind that idea.
I mean, that's valid. I mean, that's a lot of artists talk about that.
Yeah.
I mean, fame ultimately it is a monster. I mean, it's not for everyone. So that's why I'm yo, if an artist just feels that they just need to step away for a minute, kind of regather themselves, live off the bread they made, then I'm for it. You know, yeah, like he's made enough music for us to listen to and appreciate for years to come. So I'm cool off of that. I mean, the fact that he said that he's still willing to make another album as opposed to just dropping this one and disappearing, like he's still got something in the works for sure. Yeah. So
I mean, I feel like he definitely enjoys what he does, but yeah, I feel it still probably takes a toll.
Of course.
It's something I've never really thought about. Is that, you know, for us it's so easy to say like, hey, make another album, like, because you just like their music so much.
People would think that like the lives of like celebrities is easy because they're famous, they're rich,
all that so
stuff.
Nice.
But like low key, like it's pretty stressful, and like even like, you know, even for like the fact that like it's kind of like, I'm not mandatory, but in a way it is mandatory. I don't know what the contract situation is like, but for some people that's like mandatory for them to go to like these award shows. Other times it's just like highly encouraged, quotation. So like, but like having to go like on like constant like red carpet tours, award show, like all this stuff, like that's tiring for me as like, because I'm like more introverted, so like I can't imagine someone telling me like, listen, you have to go to like the next 5 award shows for like the next 6 weeks type business. Like that would be tiring for me because I'm like, I can only handle so much like interaction with like other people, and like also constantly performing, constantly on tour, all that stuff. Like it may seem cool and fun and easy to like you, the fan, but like to the artist, like that could just be a lot. Like they might not have any time for themselves. Yeah, take care of yourself, people. That's my biggest thing.
Take care of your mental health.
Yeah, no, that's something that even on my radio show that I always ask our guests is one non-music related question that I always ask my guests is, what does self-care look like for them? And sometimes we have a guest that like doesn't even have an answer. Like they would just be like, wow, like I've never had anyone ask me that. Like so I've never thought about it type of business.
Yeah.
So yeah. Take care of your mental, take care of your chicken.
Chicken.
Man. Take care of your physical, take care of your mental, take care of your chicken. Shout out Marshawn Lynch. If you know, you know. For all the football fans that are out there.
Alright, Ali. So what would you say is the evolution of Bad Bunny between his first album, his debut album, Por Siempre, and this new one?
Evolution, I would say, I mean, in terms of just, I guess, like production, I would just say like the biggest difference is the fact that he just has more major label backing in this new album compared to the first one. And by that, I just mean like you could tell that like his label put in a lot more money into this project because of all the features that are on it. Just all the like he like pulled back. He like had like all these like old school legends. He had like he has some new school guys on there. So like that's the major difference as compared to. I don't think wasn't it like El Alfa with like the only feature on the last one.
Yeah, but isn't Mia also have Drake on it?
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, but he only had two. So he had 2 features.
But yeah, it was like barely any features.
Two features compared to like I don't know how many was on this one. So in terms of like bass, like in terms of sonic difference and specs and all that stuff. Man, I guess just the fact that like this album had a lot more old school sound to it. The first one obviously was like sounded a lot more contemporary, but then this one you had like a lot of like more callbacks, like that like traditional that type shit. Like this is something. There's songs on this album that like I felt like I could have heard these songs like as a kid in Humboldt Park, just playing at like whatever like family party I was at, like with Daddy Yankee and like Don Omar and all those guys. Like some of those songs on there, like especially like Safera. It sounds like something that I could have listened in like 2003, 2004. So I guess that's the biggest difference.
Something that I kind of noticed between his older stuff and right now is that I feel like when Bad Bunny first came on, I feel like I kind of remember him having like kind of darker songs, like Amor Fada, Soy Peor, and even like a lot of the songs on that first album. Not to say it was like some super sad boy stuff, but like it had definitely like a darker vibe. And also that first album was a lot more trap, and there was like 2 or 3 tracks that was like reggaeton based.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, I kind of counted it roughly. It's like 12, 11 songs are reggaeton, whereas the rest are Latin trap. And that's something like I kind of noticed on this new album. But at the same time, he the genres like switch off in the album so like seamlessly that like it doesn't even hit you until like kind of later. Like, oh shit, he just went like back and forth, you know?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Like, I actually like one of my, I don't want to say critiques of Bad Bunny, but I guess one of just my personal taste is that I do generally prefer like, I guess more, like I said earlier, a lot more aggressive things, a lot more darker sounding stuff. I don't know. I like shit that like either makes me feel angry or makes me feel depressed, or shit that makes me feel like a trap lord. So I think that's another big thing too about Bad Bunny's evolution as an artist. He's kind of shed that image. Because like, like when he first came onto the scene, like he was rapping about like trapping and shit like that, you know. But now he's like rapping about like fucking, I don't know. You know, I just think of like "Damo bien," like rapping, like he's like rapping about living his best life type shit. So I'm like, that's definitely a big major development in his persona as an artist for sure.
Yeah, and I guess kind of the name of the album kind of reflects that. It's kind of like that he's getting to that point where he's kind of getting everything figured out, feeling a little better about himself, you know. And I guess the album even starts like with a song that's in a major key. Kind of like bringing a better mood to it, and I feel like this one, I mean, there's definitely some dark moments in the album, but overall I feel like it's just a little more brighter, I guess. There's a lot more like perreo. Like when I listen to this, I just like it just gets me hyped. Yeah,
no, for sure. I think about it because one of my probably my favorite song from this first album actually was it Gentuedes, right? That was probably my favorite song from the first one. Might be my favorite song from both of them. Like if I'm comparing both, to be honest. And I just think about how much more like dark and like aggressive that one is. That's cool. Like both are cool. Both like one I would rather listen to like when I'm just chilling by myself, or I just like chilling, smoking, playing video games. The other like. That's the one I'm gonna play when I'm at the family party, when I'm on the aux at my friend's house, or in the car, stuff like that, So both have their different settings.
Yeah. So from my understanding, Bad Bunny started as a trap artist, right, when he was first coming up.
Yeah.
And then I guess it kind of seems to me, I think you probably knew about him before I did. Even I think you showed it to me. Like you just played it at a party once, and I was like, hey, who's this?
Really?
Yeah, I kind of remember
special.
that. Yeah, but it seems like as he got more popular, he got invited into different reggaeton tracks, and obviously he's now using it in his songs.
Yeah.
And then it just seems like even though he started as a trap artist, he's now kind of labeled as a reggaeton artist. Yeah. But those two kind of worlds, I feel like when he came on the scene, they kind of collided, and it's kind of become. I don't know, not like one and the same, but it's like the same, almost the same scene, almost.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Most definitely. No, that's something I've thought about before, because I remember when Latin trap first started, kind of became its own thing. There was like kind of like this clear distinction between like this is clearly Latin trap, this is clearly reggaeton. But now I feel like it's so like I don't know, just they've just kind of like. It's such a hodgepodge, like they're just so mixed together. Like it's almost interchangeable now. Like going back to like Anuel, like when he first came onto the scene, like same thing like with Bad Bunny, where he was like people thought of him strictly as Latin trap, and if you listen to his older stuff, you could see why. Like all his shit was like about like being a drug lord, toting guns, all that shit. And he was known for being this rapper behind prison cells, and like still making music, which is a very, quote unquote trap artist things to do.
Yeah.
But then like once he got out and became more popular and got invited into, like to work with these other, like more traditionally reggaeton and more like Latin pop artists, his music starts to like reflect that sound more. So now it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like interchangeable. So like. Yeah, I don't know. Plus, like, I feel like Latin trap ultimately is also like, at the end of the day, is like kind of like a subgenre between like a reggaeton and then like trap. So like this, because obviously there's influences in both. So that's another reason why I see it as kind of like interchangeable in a way.
Yeah, I mean, and artists at the end of the day do have that freedom to do what they want. Yeah, that's totally fine. You shouldn't. I feel like the best artists don't close themselves off into like one style, you know.
Yeah, I mean, even like with Bad Bunny, like I said, like he started off and he was distinctly known as a Latin trap artist, but like now I see a lot of people kind of classifying it as reggaeton just because like, you know, I don't know, like I said, like I don't know, it all almost, it doesn't sound the same, but it's just like it all, it's all under the same umbrella. He's still at the end of the day like either seen as either a reggaeton artist or like a Latin trap artist, and you know, to me both of those labels are accurate. You know, whatever you fucking want to identify him as, you know, I'm not gonna stop you.
So what would you rate this album out of 5?
I'm gonna give it a 4. My reason behind that is, you know, for one thing, I liked his first album more. It kind of goes back to just my own personal like preference for music and how it sounds. Like I just like generally more darker music, more aggressive music. Whereas this one is, you know, it is more poppy in a lot of ways. Not that that's inherently bad. I just have like my own biases against pop music.
I mean, same.
Yeah, it's actually funny that you said that. Like, oh, like I'm the one that pushed you on Bad Bunny, because like low key, I'm at a point where like I hate the fact that like how I don't want to say I hate how popular Bad Bunny is, because it's awesome to see. Because obviously like 2 or 3 years ago I was like trying to put people onto him, but now it's at a point where it's like it's the only thing I ever see like a lot of people within like the Latinx community ever talk about, and like that's just really annoying to me, just because I'm like, there's more artists than just Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just my own.
Yeah, but I feel like mainly it's just like he's one of the hottest ones on the scene right now.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, like I said, like I said it earlier, like at the start of this, he's kind of like a Latinx version of Drake, in that like he's just everywhere. You can't escape them. They both make different types of songs, like, you know, they both have their pop songs, they both have their love ballads, they breakup songs, their aggressive shit, their gangster shit. So yeah, I don't know.
I think that's what makes them good, is that good range.
Yeah, no, I definitely can't hate on that for sure. It's just me, like I typically tend to like, you know, those lovey-dovey poppy songs, like those are the shit that I don't like. I like my gangster shit.
Yeah, I got you. I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 5. Like I said before, this is a really good album front to back. Like I've listened to it like in that first week. I listened to it like once or twice every day, and then like it just didn't feel like it got old to me. It has a lot of strong individual tracks, I guess. I don't really know what's stopping me from giving it a 5. Yeah. Actually, I'm gonna give it a 5.
Okay.
Because I feel like I can't really complain, because it's 20 songs that I can just like randomly listen to at any time, and it won't like, none of the tracks like bore me. So I feel like I can't really ask for anything more.
You see, yeah, for me, I had to give it a 4 just because there are a few songs that I do skip. Like I said, it's mainly the first 3 songs. Like anytime I listen to the album, I always start with La Song. I skip the first 3 completely. So I'm like, I can't give an album a perfect rating if there's songs on it that I always skip. But like 17 out of 20 is not bad at all. So yeah, so that's why I'm giving. So that's why it's a 4. I'm giving it a 4. It does have really. I think that's the strongest thing about the album are certain individual tracks. Like, I mean, I think that's probably been the song we probably mentioned the most, but Safera. That's probably like one of probably my top 5 favorite Bad Bunny songs. Along with like, you know, Eta Capron, Say Yo. But I feel like in terms of the entire cohesiveness, I felt like his first album was a lot more cohesive. It was a lot better on as a whole compared to this one. And yeah, and then it's just like other different like personal biases, but we don't have to get into that.
So, this new album is absolutely killing it, right? So some of the stats that I have here is, I guess the debut week, on-demand streams were 201.4 million streams, right? which breaks the record for most streams for Latin album, right? Beating Osuna's Aura album, which only had 53.2 million streams.
That's crazy.
So that's like 4 times as much.
That's crazy.
Which is absolutely insane. And then debuted number 2 on the Billboard, the regular Billboard, not the Latin one. It was number 1 on the Latin Billboard. But it's the first all Spanish album to ever be that high. Technically, you could say Selena had a number 1 album, but they labeled that as like a partially Spanish album.
Yeah.
And then this last stat that I have, 11 tracks off the album made it to the US Billboard Hot 200, which is the most for an all Spanish artist. So yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
No, that just speaks to Bad Bunny's appeal and popularity. And like I said earlier, it's crazy to think about how like just 2-3 years ago, he was that guy that I was trying to put people on.
Yeah.
Like, hey guys, listen to this Spanish artist that
Bad Bunny.
And now it's like now Bad Bunny's just like inescapable. Now people like they know Bad Bunny songs before I do, so it's just crazy to think about the growth.
Well, obviously he's a superstar for Latinos, and we've been knowing that, right?
Yeah.
I remember over the summer, a lot of my non-Latino friends, like, it shocked me because a lot of them had not heard of him, or maybe they heard of him, but they didn't really know like what he does. Like, oh, he's just like that Latin guy, whatever.
Yeah.
Low-key, sometimes I feel like non-Latinos are still way back in Despacito, right? And I'm like, come on, we have been way past this, right? That was a while ago. But how do you think it's changed? Because obviously he's been in all these big things. He's at the celebrity game for the NBA and performed at the Super Bowl halftime. Like you kind of have to know about him.
Yeah,
now, right?
Legit. So when it comes to like fame, I have to reference the comedian Hannibal Buress, who he talks about fame being like 2 categories. There's Cracker Barrel famous, and then there's like American Eagle famous. And he talked about himself like being like, I'm American Eagle famous, which means like I go in there and people will stop me and be like, yo, what's up, Hannibal? Stuff like that. And you think about the demographic that's at American Eagle, it's usually like younger kids who probably spend most of the time on the internet. Whereas like Cracker Barrel famous is like, oh, I can go to Cracker Barrel and I can enjoy a nice meal without getting bothered at all. And you think about people with Cracker Barrel, it's usually like older people, white people, probably don't get their information from the internet or from like the TV. And that is like, that just speaks volumes because like anyone, I don't want to say anyone, but like there's a lot of people who's American Eagle famous, meaning that they're only famous to a very specific demographic. But if you're Cracker Barrel famous, that means everyone knows you. If old white people know your name, if they know you, then that means then you're famous. Then that means like
I didn't know that was the goal.
I'm not saying that's the goal, but I'm just saying like that. Those are like the different avenues of fame. Cause like we all have like those people that like maybe we're big fans of and we look up to and inspire. That like if we mention their name around other people, they'll be like, who the f is that? Whereas like 3 years ago, Bad Bunny was like that. You know, he was only famous to like young Latinos listening to like that his music. Now all of a sudden you got like, you got all these old white people who are like, oh, that's that Bad Bunny guy. Yeah, he performed at the Super Bowl. Like that's just crazy to think about. So other than like my radio show, I also write for a music publication here in Chicago called These Days Magazine. Follow us at These Days Mag on all platforms. But no, it's interesting. So about half of our core staff are like Latinos, and then the other half are either white or black. And it's funny because like I remember when like our non-Latinos like were like first starts to get pit onto Bad Bunny, and it was just like, I don't know, it was just weird to see. And I'm like, damn, these white people are really f***ing with Bad Bunny. And it's weird because it's like, damn, these motherfuckers like don't even understand the word he's saying. But then I'm like, I don't even be understanding half the shit he be saying anyway, so I really can't say shit. People are just gonna be drawn to just whatever sounds good. And also like music also has the ability to like kind of evoke certain feelings and emotions, even if you don't necessarily understand the words, or even like And if you're the type of person that just likes listening to instrumentals, you can still get those feelings and emotions without listening to any words. I don't know. And I guess Bad Bunny is just like, he's kind of mastered that. Mm-hmm. This could be me, like, I'm the type of person where, like, you know, you spend 4 years at DePaul University and studying, like, you know, these critical race studies classes. You kind of like start to hyper analyze certain things in terms of, and like I'm also in media communications, so like I do a lot of studying in terms of regards to, like, you know, how the media draws certain figures. And there are some things that I could say that contribute to Bad Bunny's fame. One of those being obviously him being a white Latino. That's something that has to be pointed out too, because, like, obviously with reggaeton, we look at the history of it. It is, you know, it has origins in the Afro-Latinx community. And you know, here's Bad Bunny, and I'm not saying this as a critique of Bad Bunny. I think Bad Bunny's still a phenomenal artist. He's still a great face for the music scene, but like that's something to be considered. Like now that, like, think in terms of the U.S. media. Like the U.S. media is just now paying attention to reggaeton because of this, you know, really charming white Puerto Rican dude, versus, like, I don't know who, Ozuna is, like, you know, Ozuna, other than Bad Bunny, Ozuna is probably the biggest name in Puerto Rico, and you know, and one's black, one's white. In terms of the U.S. media, you see one everywhere, versus the other, like, you know, other, like, the last Ozuna album, that shit was crazy. I can't remember the name of it.
In Biru?
Yeah, in Biru. That shit was crazy. That was one of my favorite albums last year. But you did not see anyone talk about that shit compared to, like, Bad Bunny's music. And so, you know, there's certain nuances to it. There's also other nuances that are, like, more positive. In that, like, Bad Bunny is also very progressive in the way, you know, he views, like, you know, sexuality and gender and all that stuff, and people are drawn to that, obviously. So that's another reason why I feel like the U.S. population is, like, really drawn to him, because, like, oh, here's this guy who's kind of like, you know, he's comfortable in his skin, he's comfortable with his, you know, his male gender, sexuality, whatever you want to call it, versus, like, kind of going back to Ozuna, you know, he had that whole controversy where, like, was he or was he not involved in that murder of that gay, you know, reggaeton artist. So that's just some things to, like, that's just me hyper-analyzing things. At the end of the day, though, I love Bad Bunny. I think he's great for the community as a whole. He, I don't know, he's like it goes back to what I keep on saying. Like, he's Puerto Rican Drake. Everybody loves, well, I don't like Drake personally, but everybody else loves Drake. And so it's just like, and it's hard to find arguments against, or it's hard to find people arguing against, you know, Drake or Bad Bunny, or these other artists who are just kind of like, just so ridiculously famous that anything they drop is just going to be consumed by the masses.
So now that he's really popular, he's gone on interview shows with Jimmy Fallon and just, you know, where obviously he performed. This is the day he announced the new album, a couple days before it dropped. And on the show he performed Ignorantes, which is the second single, I believe, from the album. And basically when he was performing, he was wearing a black skirt, and he also had a shirt that says "Mataron a Alexa, no un hombre en falda," which means they killed Alexa, not a man in a skirt. Referring to a murder that happened in Puerto Rico, where this transgender woman was basically found, her body was found with gunshots in it, and it kind of sparked a lot of shock throughout the island, and even some media in the US got a hold of this, and basically, like, the local media said that, oh, they killed a man in a skirt, basically, which is incorrect and very insensitive. And Bad Bunny, I guess this is one of the things I like about Bad Bunny is that he does stuff like this, that he's what's the word I used? A supporter of the LGBTQA community, and yeah, it's just cool to see something like that.
Yeah, most definitely. That's something that is even an issue, even like a lot of U.S. news in regards to reporting the deaths of trans folks is misgendering. I remember learning about that in, like, a journalism class like a year or two ago, how, like, that's just so common. It's just like because for one thing, like when the police, you know, find the body, they identify it by like the physical of the body. Even despite the fact, even if the person is known to be trans, they're still gonna. So then the news ends up running with that, and obviously it is insensitive, it is inaccurate, and it just perpetuates, you know, transphobia. Damn, man, this conversation got serious real quick. Yeah. But at the same time, like, it is still important to have these conversations outside the classroom.
They're heavy topics, but I bring it up because it's things that, you know, we should be talking about.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you bringing it. I'm not saying this.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. So yeah, it kind of goes back to what, like, backtracking a bit. I was saying, like, Bad Bunny's very progressive with how he views these things, and that's another reason why people are so drawn to him, because of the history of, you know, of machismo and you know, homophobia and transphobia in our community. So like, to have this artist kind of at the forefront, kind of just speaking out like, yo, you know, like, you know, trans people, you know, are just as valid as human beings as the rest of us. Like, that's definitely important, especially for the younger generation. Yeah. Because I think that's really what's important for, like, when it comes to like consuming media. I feel like, you know, once you start to get older, you kind of have your own viewpoints already, so it's kind of hard for people to get out of it. Yeah. But like, if you're still a young and impressionable kid, and you're growing up and like listening to these artists who are, you know, preaching some of these more positive messages, then you're going to be more inclined to fall into those positive messages, as opposed to those old, you know,
backwards ways of thinking. Yeah. Exactly. Have you watched the music video for it?
I haven't actually.
It actually featured, he has multiple couples on it, and some of them, there was like 3 of them, but 2 of them were like same-sex couples. So I thought it was just interesting that not only when performing this on the show, that also on his music video, he's reflecting that as well. And yeah. I mean, there's plenty of examples of this kind of behavior from him, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, especially too, like, when you think of like you know, you think of reggaeton, like, you should look at a lot of reggaeton. I've seen a lot of like I watch like a lot of reggaeton videos, especially like in my house. Like my sister would do back when she still lived with my family. Whenever she would like do her like cleaning, her weekend cleaning, she would just throw on music videos on like the TV, and like almost every video it'd always be like the artist with just surrounded by beautiful woman. Yeah. So, you know, and that's just very, you know, obviously just like very just like straight things to do. So it's cool to see Bad Bunny, even though he identifies as straight himself, to still, at least from what I know there's rumors about him being bi.
There was an interview, or I forgot where I saw this, but there's like an interview where he said, like, at the moment I am straight, but he's like, basically he says, who am I to say though in the future that I could be interested in men? Yeah. He said, like, he's not closing that door. He's saying he's straight, but he's not closing that door.
Yeah, no, I saw that interview too. But yeah, so it's cool to see like someone who identifies as straight, you know, still be willing to like still talk about these things and still represent those communities in his art. Just because
I think it's very important that as straight people to also show support and be open. You know?
Yeah, I mean, that's anyone. It's always important for anyone to support communities outside of their own identity. Because at the end of the day, we're all human. We all are deserving of, you know, basic dignity and rights. So yeah.
I guess one question to close this subject off is that rap, trap, reggaeton can be places of extreme machismo. Yeah, and homophobia. How do you see that has changed in the past years?
Yeah, so
because obviously overall, as like, it's not like, you know, homophobia and all that stuff still exists, but I feel like it's gotten better.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting for sure, because I mean, listen, anyone who like has listened to like you play any classic '90s album, gonna say that, you know, a bunch of homophobic slurs. Like, I was just listening to Biggie Smalls tape yesterday with my friends, and you know, he drops in some homophobic slurs, and I'm not saying this like cancel Biggie, all that shit, like, you know, how other people might react to it. But that was just the frame of thinking at the time. So it wasn't seen as a big a deal back then, but like obviously now it's a lot different now. I mean, we even see it. You look at an artist like Tyler the Creator, who when he first was like back when he was still American Eagle famous, you know, he was known, you know, he was known as really edgy rapper who like rapped about like who had like a bunch of like slurs in his music and you know rapping about like killing women and stuff like that. Yeah. Now you see him and like for one thing he identifies as queer, and his music is a complete 180 of what his older stuff is. And that's just a span of 8 years because he first came pop in like 20.
You know, I've never seen an artist's growth like that.
Yeah,
it's crazy to think about like how much he has changed.
Yeah, both in terms of like just his musical style and also like his persona. Yeah. It's still crazy to think about. He's definitely one of the best character arcs in music for the last decade. But yeah, obviously it's something it's obviously not as present anymore. It's still present here and there. There's some there's some like recent albums that of like modern artists that I listen to, and they'll drop like one like, you know, slur, and so it's crazy because I'll hear it and I'll be like, whoa, just because it's so rare now. Yeah. But like in terms of like cancel culture and all that, like I'm pretty anti cancel culture just because I'm like I don't know. I think the best things to do for that is just like to allow people to grow and educate themselves. Because you know, if you just shut them out completely, then you're just gonna let that way of thinking just fester inside of them.
Because they'll probably be resentful of it.
Exactly. No, trust me. That like in my personal experience, that's like really like exactly how it is, to be honest. And like I don't know, it's just, and even if it's like that growth doesn't come right away, you still have to be like. You still have to be willing to like.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, we're all people in this world.
Yeah.
So you gotta be able to give people a chance to change, even though at the moment you can be totally against the, you know, some of the morals and the things that they believe in.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm not saying like be open to like everything. I mean, there's definitely certain things that to me are like, you know, that is like completely, you know. I can't let people get away with. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Like you
There's
know,
definitely a lot of things.
Like for example, like sexual assault. You know, like that's just something that's like, nah, that's a no go. Yeah. But like if it's just something that can just be solved, but if it's just something that just comes from just, you know, just ignorance to a specific topic, then that's like something like, okay, like let's talk about it. But yeah, that's just me. That's just my way of thinking.
To close this off, Ali, who are some upcoming reggaeton artists that people should be looking out for?
For me, I would say the first person for me is Eladio Carrion. He is a Puerto Rican reggaetonero. He actually, that song, Kemba Walker.
I know you're talking about. Yeah.
So yeah, that was like his first major song, which also had Bad Bunny, so nice connection. But no, he just dropped his like debut album. I want to say maybe last month, called Sauce Boys. Fire, crazy. It has hella features on it too. So like, you know, so it's kind of like a good way to kind of maybe ease into him as an artist, because like because he probably already has a song with like one of your favorite, you know, reggaeton artists already. So it's definitely really, so like that album's a good way to ease into his music. And it's fire. Like other than like up until like Lil Uzi just dropped his album last week. Yeah. That like Eladio Carrion's album was probably like the one album that I was just like listening to the most so far this year. Other than him, I would say there's this other this Afro-Latino artist named Bolima West Coast. He's from Chile. He's actually like the son of like Ghanaian immigrants too. So it's just like his backstory is like real interesting. Yeah. But yeah, so he's fire as too. He's more like Latin trap. Oh, Menor. He's another dude from Honduras. He's an Afro-Honduran artist. Yeah. I don't know. There's like the first 3 people that just came to my head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but definitely, yeah, and that's definitely like huge. Like when it comes to like, I'm really big on like music discovery. Like I mentioned before, like that's the whole point of my radio show. Like the site that I write for, like, is music discovery. So like, you know, I kind of talked about it earlier when I get frustrated at people only talking about like certain artists like Bad Bunny or whatever. Like like there's more to these people. Like there's a point in time when like Bad Bunny was that artist where I was like, why aren't people talking about him? And now it's like, this is the only thing they talk about. But like, it's important to listen to these other artists to A, like diversify your taste, but B, to also like help grow, you know, grow their growth platforms, and you help their platforms grow. It also helps, you know, the Latino music scene grow as a whole. So yeah, I guess that's all I gotta say about that.
For sure. And then I guess we're gonna close this off, but Ale will be back to review Colores by J Balvin, coming out on March 20th. So stay tuned. Thank you so much, Ale.
Latino gang.
Let's go.